Ousted Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad has decided to flee Syria under pressure from the Kremlin, which has convinced him that defeat is inevitable. Fearing that Assad will suffer the same fate as Libyan tyrant Muammar Gaddafi, who was captured and killed by militias, Moscow has offered the Syrian ruler safe passage out of the country, according to a Bloomberg article. The agency's sources said that the operation to evacuate Assad from Syria was carried out by Russian intelligence officers. The dictator was taken out of the country via the Khmeimim airbase. The plane carrying Assad flew with its transponders turned off to prevent surveillance. Hours after Assad's escape, rebels entered the Syrian capital Damascus and declared the regime overthrown. The dictator's ouster drew a line under the Assad dynasty, which lasted more than half a century and began with Hafez al-Assad, Bashar al-Assad's father, who has ruled Syria since 1971. The agency also learned of Russian dictator Vladimir Putin's dissatisfaction with the activities of his intelligence services, which failed to notice the growing threat to the regime in Damascus. In the first days of the rebel offensive, Russian aircraft struck them, but then the Kremlin realized that it would not be possible to save the Assad regime due to the virtual inaction of the Syrian army on the ground. Now, Russia is trying to maintain its bases in Tartus and Khmeimim by contacting Syrian opposition groups that have established control over Damascus. The agency also mentions talks between Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov and the Turkish and Iranian foreign ministers in Doha. The day before, the Turkish resource Clash Report wrote that the Syrian rebels allegedly do not mind if the Russian Federation maintains its presence at the bases in Tartus and Khmeimim. In turn, Russian propagandists reported that the Russian bases are completely blocked by the opposition, but negotiations on their fate are still ongoing. Meanwhile, satellite images showed that Russian ships were at anchor in the Mediterranean Sea, 8 kilometers away from the port of Tartus. Russia is scrambling to save face after its humiliating loss of its client, dictator Bashar al-Assad, and the Kremlin has conceded preserving its crucial Syrian military bases will take time and delicate negotiations with groups it was calling terrorists just days ago. Russian military bloggers bitterly attacked Assad for the loss of Syria, but Russian analysts argued that it was Putin's preoccupation with the war in Ukraine that resulted in the loss of focus on his Syria project. Russia's recent failure to recognize the fragility of Assad's military was also a new low in a series of disastrous intelligence failures that have discredited Russian intelligence agencies.
US-based non-profit group Syrian Emergency Task Force released a video on Thursday showing an American citizen who disappeared 7 months ago, Travis Timmerman, sitting with 2 men who found him in the Damascus countryside. In the video, Timmerman could be seen sitting on a mattress in what appeared to be a private house. Timmerman appears to have been among thousands of people released from Syria's notorious prisons after rebels reached Damascus over the weekend, overthrowing President Bashar Assad and ending his family's 54-year rule. The Political Affairs Office of the Islamist group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the rebel group that led the lightning offensive to topple Assad's government, said the group had secured the release of Timmerman. Timmerman, now recovering until the rebels can figure out how to hand him to US authorities, was planning to get to Jordan after his release to obtain a new passport, according to the Syrian Emergency Task Force. He reported walking for 13 miles barefoot before being discovered. There was no immediate comment from US officials traveling with US Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Aqaba, Jordan. Timmerman later gave an interview with the Al Arabiya TV network, saying he had illegally crossed into Syria on foot from the eastern Lebanese town of Zal 7 months ago, before being detained. He said he was treated well in detention but could hear other young men being tortured.
Who helped you whenever you got out of your detention?
I was helped by a Syrian man named Eli, and he helped me and a young woman who lives in Damascus get out of the prison immediately.
And who are these 2 individuals?
These men I met this morning as I walked to the southwest of Damascus as I headed toward Jordan.
Okay.